Welcome to Decode Dune, an exegesis of the Dune universe.
Welcome to Decode Dune. With you, as always, is Mike and the angry chimpanzee, Jeff Hackert.
That was me.
This is a non-numerical episode. This is our second Dune movie watch through. I think we're finishing it today. Because it's only
Since there's 2 hours and 35 minutes left, that is a bold claim. Let's see if we can do it.
I think it's an hour and a half now because it's a 2 hour and 35 an hour.
Fair enough. Enough. I can't. Math is hard for me.
Yeah, that's okay.
No.
It's hard for me too. So we are
I'm too busy being omnipotent.
That's right.
To be all knowing.
Right. we what the fuck am I talking about? Okay, so our last episode, just a quick summary of recent episodes. We've kind of moved away from the books, although we'll come back to them, I'm sure. But our second to last episode was just a kind of just a chat through about the movie. It was like sort of a raw review, but it wasn't complete. We will revisit. And then our last episode, we assume you joined in, was a watch through of Dune, the movie, up until about 53 minutes in. And then we called it for a day. And now today we're back to continue watching the movie and talking about it live on the mic. Jeff, how are you? A little allergies, you said.
And a shiner.
You have a shiner?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Really? I don't see it. Well, oh yeah. I took a knee to the right here on the forehead, rather hard last Sunday. Although the head is strong.
The head is strong.
Yeah,
that should be our byline. Or it could go on your business card.
Yeah. What about you? I assume that
elbow.
Was an elbow or a elbow. Or a,
yeah. Yeah, it was an elbow. It was an unchecked aggression. Because the truth of brown belt is that everyone wants to murder you.
Yeah.
My days of being a carefree dandy purple belt are over. Yeah. It's really bad.
we should take a moment. This week was Jeff Hackert's birthday. Yeah. And then about a month and a half ago, he was promoted to brown belt in the gentle art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. It's just more murder from here. There was the BJJ fanatics forum. I think I sent you the thing. They're like, what's the hardest part of jiu-jitsu? That was all for me. It's the people. They're all trying to kill you.
Yeah.
It has never been more true than it is today. Yeah. But yeah, thank you. It's there was a thread in Reddit that I was saltily participating in this week that was basically all people my age are on some sort of testosterone enhancing drug. And the white belts of our BJJ are quite upset about this. If you haven't looked into Reddit's the subreddit RBJJ, it is basically a forum in which angry white belts share their frustration with all of the different kinds of grapplers that they encounter. And this last week was old man strength, and they were all mad. They're like, these old men come in here and they're all hard and strong, and I can't do my jiu-jitsu, and they should just die.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very like, fuck these old guys. I was really surprised.
Yeah. I experienced some old man strength last Sunday, and it was impressive. Old, I'm gonna say either Armenian or Persian dude.
Oh, that's a double dose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sent Patrick a photograph. I'll send it to you. It looks like you would imagine, like if Stilgar was traveling time and galaxies. is this Armenian soldier in like some kind of bleak mountain area, taking a shower outside, butt ass naked with his AK.
Yeah.
And just like, no joke, looks like Patrick, just fucking chiseled.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people in the world that I would gladly fight. And then there are Armenians.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight him.
Yeah. He started slow. Not many movements. When he got a hold, he did not tap me, but when he got a hold of my neck, it was like, oh, holy shit, is this tight? And I got out,
Yeah.
but like this side of my neck up to like, it basically has been bruised. Like, yeah. So props to him.
This guy came in. I know we'll get to Dune in just a second. Sorry for all of you people that hate the jiu-jitsu talk. Also, it's
kind of stupid.
It's the tax you pay for listening to this podcast. This guy came in to he's from that part of the world. I can't guarantee that he's Armenian, but like right in that neighborhood. So maybe Turkish, which I know is there's some conflict there, but like anyway, in that area.
They did a genocide.
They did do it. That's real. I don't think this guy did though. But,
no, of course,
But they did, yeah. So anyway, he came into the gym in Orange County. He came into the Ace, and he'd been training with like Verdum. He was an Olympic. He was a former Olympic wrestler, and he was ginormous, and of course, like chiseled.
Yeah.
And he literally just threw every man in that room around like they were tiny children.
Mm-hmm.
And all he did was Kimura.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Just found the wrist and then.
Yeah. Someone whose name I won't divulge broke a molar to he Kimura'd them and then he scissor choked them and it cracked their molar. That's how fucking strong that guy was.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. No joke. Okay. Anyway, I am not on any testosterone enhancing drugs, but if any of our listeners know where to get them,
I think, you probably just go to your family physician.
Oh, that takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah. I don't think it needs to be a black market thing.
Well, it does if it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Okay. That's true. All right. Listen.
Do you snort it? Like, how does that work?
I don't think
Do you snort the testosterone?
No, I think they have like chewable. Like, I think it's pretty accessible nowadays.
Am I missing out on a thing I should be doing? Like, should I have learned the lesson from that thread that I should be taking testosterone?
Well, so let's first, do you know the people posting know for a fact they're all on TRT?
No, that's just how they were
surmise.
Like, yeah, they were just insulting every old person that does jiu-jitsu by claiming that.
I definitely know I could up my recovery game. And then I do think about stuff like, what is it that I'm not do? Like, what are all the little Joe Rogan-esque things that I could be doing? You know, like having my blood,
taking ivermectin for what?
Yeah, having my blood removed, spun in a centrifuge, and then reinserted. Like, what are all the things that I could spend my disposable income on to be a super freak?
Did you land $100 million? Did Spotify just give you $100 million?
No.
Oh, that's a shame, because I was going to ask you if I could borrow some money.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I were Joe Rogan and Spotify gave me $100 million, I'd buy new organs.
Right.
That's what I would do.
Right. Why not? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, right, listen, I would teach a raccoon to speak.
Oh, wait, hold on. Where are we at? 53, 26?
53, 35.
53-ish. Okay, I'm going to start at 53.26 and I'll just let you know. 3, 2, 1. Mike's computer is 53.26. Where did my audio go? Oh, it's quiet. That's why. Okay, in comes Stilgar.
Okay, here he is.
See, this is strong.
Yeah, I like him. That's why I was talking about that wrestler. He looks just like that dude.
His shoulder is slanted. Why? Do you see he's like this?
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah. There's Smiley Momoa again.
Yeah.
Everything's funny.
Yeah. Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Look at
The
that.
Gurney,
Like
the Gurney Halleck look. Oh, good.
His body is
Yeah. He's got a bladed stance is what he's got. He might feel like he's got to hide that knife hand. I don't know. Wait, is he backward?
Yeah, and of course, in the book, this is not what is said, right? And I do recall reading a review saying a lot of the dialogue is not from the book.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because it's not meant to mirror the book. It's meant as to explain what's happening. Right. These people who like,
I guess. Sorry. I can't say whether it is meant to. I will take your comment that there's some validity to that, but
I think
go ahead.
he's standing weird.
Yeah.
Because under that cape, there is a pug.
From the Lynch movie.
Uh-huh.
That whole exchange. I think this whole thing, I don't know if it's like a quote unquote woke SJW thing, whatever the fuck that they don't. I don't know. My interpretation of the book is that the exploitation of the land vis-a-vis the Fremen, like the Harkonnens to the Fremen, is really rather understated in my opinion. Obviously, you don't get the Fremen perspective. My understanding is not that the Fremen live in the Sietches because the Harkonnens ravage it, but because 2,000 years, 3,000 years before the Harkonnens came, that's how they figured out how to live. Yeah. And the Harkonnens, sure, they killed Fremen, but I mean, I think it's right there in the text, or it's not there in the text. They in my mind exist almost as close to independently as one can. Is holy shit, I just hit the wrong button. All right, hold on, where are we?
Okay. Error.
I just fast forwarded the movie to like 2 minutes before the end because I'm trying to turn the volume down. But anyway, but what I'm saying is they're clearly making the stance that there's more of a direct conflict between the Fremen and the Harkonnen, or any Outlanders and the Fremen, than I believe is in the book. So that is a thematic change to obviously the intro to the movie, where they've highlighted Chani and the Harkonnen versus the Fremen, and then Stilgar coming in and saying like, stay out of our lands. That is not actually the story of Dune. And that is not the relationship as I understood it.
But I didn't even get that from the movie. It's not, I don't even get that here. What he's meaning, I mean, I don't know. So they don't know how many Fremen are out there.
Who's they? I mean, none of
anybody.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Right. That's the status. So that, and it's been that way for a very, very, very long time.
Right. I mean, I am talking about the idea that Stilgar coming in and saying, stay out of our Sietches, don't leave us alone. You come here to take and give nothing back. That is not really what Stilgar's that is not his relationship to the Atreides or the Harkonnens, at least in the text.
You'll expand on that a little bit.
I don't know how to expand on the lack thereof. What I mean is the Stilgar comes in, explains the situation of the Atreides. They say Duncan will now serve two masters the way Liet does, which of course is not in this story at all.
Right.
He should have gone. So what I mean to say is my read of Stilgar's entrance into the story and his initial conversation with Leto is far more cooperative. It's far more potentially collaborative, albeit guarded. And it's not nearly as confrontational as what we just saw there. And the framing of the reason for the confrontation is you are no different than the others and you just come here to take from us, I don't believe is in the text. That's all I'm saying. So we're just, it's just a different story at this point, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't, that part I don't, I've heard other people say this. I don't exactly understand it, because the entire universe as we understand it is dependent on spice.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Fremen live on this world. Mm-hmm. So what happens in this world affects them radically, whether it's understood how many of them there are or not. So anyone who comes to Arrakis is a potential threat. Taking is the least, maybe it's the least of the threat, but it's the beginning of the threat, right? Because they're there to exploit natural resources, but that means going out into the deep desert. It means potentially uncovering what they're trying to do, which is to transform the planet. I don't think they want that to be discovered.
Yeah, I just
I'm with you. I'm just giving a counter perspective.
Yeah.
So how he frames the conflict to the Duke in this moment, he could say really anything. Stay away.
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't really matter, because they don't really understand yet. Even the Duke doesn't really understand. He suspects that there's a lot of them. He suspects that they're going to be a potential ally, but he doesn't really know anything yet.
Yeah.
And he's not going to have any time to find out. But anyway, I hear you. There's a lot of people in there's a lot of purists who are like, it should conform more to the book, but then there's also people complaining about the length of the first film. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how we get there. You know what I mean? Like, if we stay true to the books, I don't know how you get a movie out of that. That people,
I mean, if it's the same person making both complaints, then they're the ones who maybe have put themselves in that contradiction. But if it's two different people, then I don't know. I mean, I guess you can't serve everyone.
I don't know how you get all the subtleties right of the book when you're trying to make a condensed version of the story.
I think I'm more doing a so I am not a reactionary, but I think I am making a sort of basic, could be read as reactionary, kind of eye roll critique of the movie, that it's very of the moment, of our moment, to make it as on the nose as you people from other places come here to colonize and take all of the resources.
Yeah.
And again, the way it's written is a little bit less direct. Again, my interpretation is that the Fremen barely notice the people who have come from elsewhere. Like, they are paying the guild for it to be service, but I view it a little bit more, and again, maybe this is more true to the roots of the books, the Sabers of Paradise, and also the relations to Bedouin culture, is you can't really fuck with us on our terrain, and we live normally and you struggle, and our living this way predates you, so they're not really that directly related. Like, so what I mean to say is the framing of this movie could be interpreted as the Fremen have been relegated to the Sietches because of the Harkonnens, and I think
that would not be correct. Yeah,
that would be wildly incorrect by about 2,500 years. And that's what I think is maybe being erased here, is that this is a independent culture that created its norms, and way more recently there have been trespasses on their land, but they haven't, in my opinion, actually affected them that much. But I think this movie is making it out to be that, and that's what I'm That's what is irking me.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
I guess this is maybe a good time to point this out. In the book Savers of Paradise by Leslie Blanch, which for people who are unaware, Dune is heavily reliant on the story of Imam Shamil and his fighters in the Caucasus. People don't really understand the relationship, I think, from what I've read. But I'll read this part really quick because it's so important.
Yeah.
In the Caucasus, Khan Li vendetta was the whole creed of these people, often pursued through 3 or 4 generations. Sometimes whole families were destroyed fighting for days and nights till the last man or boy fell. Others, known as poor families, those who had no fighters left, no more blood to spill, were immured for the rest of their lives, old men, weaklings, and women in some lonely watchtower. The person that gave the feedback of like, we're, I don't know, too literal or something, the world that Herbert sees is very much related to that sort of bleak, honor-bound, violent culture.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think the Fremen exist in their own way. But I think part of Imam Shamil's whole jam was to say to Russia, fuck off. The Caucasus are out of your reach. He didn't have to go anywhere to do that. He just had to fuck up every Russian who wandered in, right?
Right.
Which is sort of what's happening here. And by fuck up, could be violent, could involve bribes, could involve like whatever mechanisms just to keep them away.
Right.
And so I think we're ultimately we arrive at the same place, which is that he didn't have to be as he didn't have to frame this as a oppressed oppressor.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
because I don't think they are. I mean, I think the people that live in the cities are heavily oppressed.
Right. But that's not Stilgar, and that's not who he's representing anyway.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
That's
right.
I'm just, you know what? I think maybe it's just my fanboy feelings are hurt. But I wanted a more collaborative, albeit boundaried and strong conversation between Stilgar instead of what we just saw.
Yeah.
I think if he came in and we're like, you know, your boy Duncan's cool. Like, in fact, I'd like him to ride with us. He helped out our guys. There was a fight. That's how we know each other. That whole thing. Then I think that would be, I don't know. I guess I want them to be tentative buddies, and they inserted a kind of bullshit conflict, and then it leads to them not being as coup d'etat as I would have liked to have seen, and as the book clearly indicates.
Yeah.
That's
I wonder, since we're on this subject, and we're getting so for those of you who are watching,
we are burning through this movie.
We're burning through the movie. So some shit just happened.
This was commentary that would probably be better for the non-watch through, but
Paul's
anyway.
all high on the spice right now.
Yeah. He got,
and this is the famous harvester scene.
Yeah,
which we have ruined with our Fremen intrigues.
Do we want to hit pause and
let's hit pause.
Or go back?
Yeah, let's hit pause for a second. We can even go back because we definitely branched out a minute.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to this really quick, because I think it's really important.
Shit, hold on. All right, sorry about that.
So that's okay.
My neighbor's dog just sounded like he was getting into a fight, and I was like, is my dog somehow involved? So anyway.
All right. So I just want to pick up on this thing really quick. So I think I left off at weaklings, women, in some lonely watchtower. They never dared to venture out. I think this is really critical to our understanding of how Herbert saw the Fremen and Fremen culture. They never dared to venture out, for they were disgraced and menaced. Food and water were left for them by pitying friends, but as they could not fight, they had no place in the community. Occasionally, pale faces could be glimpsed, ghost-like at the windows, only to draw back sharply, fearing to be seen by their traditional foes who prowled and waited year upon year to finish the fight. So these people who could no longer fight but lived were constantly harassed. So the main point here is that these are this is inside the culture, which is what we would expect. It's like its own, like, so the Fremen have a culture that produces similar outcomes to what is produced on Silicis Secundus. Right? It's a grindstone through which some people are sharpened and some people are whittled away, right? All right, so let me just finish because it's totally worth it. No. One step outside the door, and it would all be over. Such traditions decimated the population. Shamil, this is Imam Shamil, had always been opposed to them. Upon becoming Imam, he tried to stamp out the whole tradition of Khanli. The Russians, on the contrary, encouraged it cynically. It was a practical method of wiping out the more explosive elements of the tribes. With a population regularly reduced by violence, whether intertribal, interfamily, or regular warfare, the Caucasians' first wish was for sons to carry on the fight. Everywhere, widows were expected to remarry within a few months of their bereavement. Some tribes adopted curious measures. Any woman, single or widowed, did some kind of ritual, and then it was the duty of some dude to impregnate her, and then the tribe, the group, would raise the child. I'm assuming child, but possibly both. Vengeance being the order of the land. Anyway, it goes on from there. But the main thing to think about, because I think that I got from some of our feedback that people think that we're being like overly weird about Fremen culture. We're being like overly invested in the violence and stuff. But I think Herbert was fully aware. He had clearly, I mean, he lifted whole passages from this book,
right,
and put them in his own book,
right,
without any, without pointing out that that's what he was doing.
right.
I don't know what we call that, but
what? Tell me a little bit more about people thinking we're being weird with.
Well, I think like in that somewhere in that critical feedback that we got for our last thing was this idea that like maybe I'm trying to, like, there was just the statement that I'm trying to scare people by discussing knife culture and what knife violence is like. But that's actually not what I'm trying to do. And I'm not really trying to glorify it. What I was attempting to do there is to say that in Herbert's mind, this is the reality inside the world he created. Of course, it's fictional, but its basis is on real people.
Right.
There's also this idea of like, I don't know, I've just read a lot of stuff where people kind of misunderstand the history, and they which is fine. It's easy to do because he hit it.
If you're talking about the jabroni that commented on our
your new best friend,
our YouTube, I don't know if I may have read it differently. I don't know if he was saying that you're trying to scare people.
He literally said that.
Oh, did he? I thought he was. Well, I thought what he meant by sorry, I'll rephrase. He said that I think what he meant, my interpretation, was that he was not saying you're trying to scare people with knife culture, like, because that's in the book, so much as I think he was saying like, you think you're badass.
I that's exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I understood too.
Yeah. Okay.
And what I'm trying to say is that that's not why I'm raising this.
Oh, I mean, of course.
I do. Yes, I have an interest. I have a martial interest in how that works. So it feels natural to discuss it here because it is such an intricate part of the world that Herbert is building.
Right.
Not because I want people to think I'm a badass.
Right.
I have no desire to ever be in a knife fight.
Yeah.
The fact that I trained for that possibility is purely an expression of my love of martial arts. It is not in any way a desire, because no one leaves those things uninjured.
Right.
And I have a family, I have a software engineer. Like
you enjoy life, being alive, and
I enjoy being alive.
Potentially permanent injury.
There's no parking space, no matter how close to the mall entrance, that would be worth a knife fight to me. Yeah. So I just want to make that clear. Like my interest really is in how Herbert portrayed the Fremen and why this is important. So I recognize that I am doing something that many others who are engaging with this text and engaging with the film maybe can't because they haven't read, they don't know who Imam Shamil is, they weren't aware that Herbert drew his inspiration for the Fremen from that culture. So they may just think that I'm being weird, but I'm not. I've spent a lot of time and a lot of energy trying to understand the culture of the people in the Caucasus at that time. They were in direct conflict with the Russians, and they were very successful fighters, and they had a very clear kind of culture and religious approach that required nothing. This is back to your point. It required nothing of Russia or any outside influence. It was basically self-contained. And I think that's your point in relation to the Fremen. They don't need to be discussed as, or they didn't think of themselves, the Imam Shamil's fighters and the Fremen, I don't think of themselves as oppressed.
Right.
They're not in a fight for social justice. They have a defined purpose and mission that is self-contained. So I think for Stilgar to say stay out of the way is about as friendly as he could possibly be. So it's as much of a signal of like, okay, you're probably better than the last dude that was here. But basically he's saying the same thing, which is fuck off.
Right.
I would venture to guess that he didn't have any direct interactions other than to harass the Harkonnens. So then that leaves the question.
Yeah,
why do they
as it actually hold on, that might be important. Do you think he ever was pulled into a meeting, walked up to the Baron Harkonnen? I don't think he probably was ever anywhere. Or Peter DeVries or anyone, or the Beast, or probably anyone in the echelon of leadership.
No, I don't think the Harkonnens ever gave a fuck. I think they are just high on their own supply.
Yeah.
They're militarily superior in probably every way. They were able to subjugate the people who were willing to occupy the cities pretty quickly. Right. And then for 80 years, they just fucking did whatever they wanted.
Right.
And that was 80 years that the Fremen could pursue their mission in the desert.
Right. With occasional raids in the Harkonnens that, to be honest, again, don't sound like they were necessarily answered to.
Yeah, I suspect that the people serving the Harkonnens, and so later serving, as we saw a little bit, the people serving were people unfit to fight.
Say that one more time.
The people who were living in the cities and serving the Harkonnen would. Yeah. So remember the back to the text, right? What happened to people who could no longer fight? They were placed in a tower where they were fed. What's the version of that in this world? You go serve the Harkonnens in the cities.
Right.
There's actually a discussion about that later in other books, and that feels very true. The people who take to the cities,
the museum Fremen.
We don't want to go too far here, but those that live in the cities or those that become part post jihad live a very different life than the original Fremen because they're divorced from the original context.
Right. Actually, the museum Fremen is so far in the future that I think the implication is there's actually no more Fremen at all.
Right. Fremen by
the museum
genetically,
Fremen,
yes, but Fremen by these definitions, no.
By lifestyle, right.
I would point out that people from the Caucasus are still fucking genetically and dispositionally badass. Yeah. And by that, I do not mean, I just mean that they're terrifying.
Yeah.
Or have that capacity anyway, right?
Right. So,
okay, sorry.
I'm gonna do a riff on both the modern way we talk about these things and then also steal from our beloved Chapo Trap House and say, no Fremen worth their salt is saying things like the Harkonnens exploit and do violence on Fremen bodies. Nope. Or Harkonnens don't create spaces where I'm doing a bodies and spaces riff.
I understand.
Anyway.
Yeah. At the risk of being lumped into the IDW, I think those things are fine and important. However, not going to be part of Fremen culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. You may differ with me here, but I think safe spaces and trigger warnings and all those things are valid. I think.
Oh,
people,
yeah.
yeah.
But
But
no, I think that's fine. I think the proliferation of the use of bodies and spaces is an interesting thing I took notice of, and then our beloved
yeah.
Chapo started riffing on it as well.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think they just mean safe spaces. I think the way it's used in a lot of parlance is just sort of the idea that like they would say like a jujitsu. And when I say they, I mean sort of this. I don't exactly know what it is. Activist culture, something that would say like spaces are created that are not welcoming in like us, like the use. It's like spaces instead of community. Like it would be like the online jujitsu space is not
Right.
as opposed to like the people just talking. It's just a word. It's just a language thing.
Well, I think it's intentional because when you personalize these things, then you can't see the systemic nature of it.
Sure.
So this is for me. This is sorry. Here we go, devolving again really quickly. But this is structural. This is the thing that people just do not fucking get, right? We'll just take a moment. You've this idea that, for instance, that critical race theory is a thing that's being taught in elementary schools. It's my favorite. What, right? Because this is legal theory, right? And then this makes the Jordan Peterson crowd go bananas because they want it to be commentary on individuals and individual behavior, and of course it is not. It is studying. It's anyway. There's a long history here.
It's interesting to me that this suddenly became a talking point this year. I've been hearing people talk about this since I believe 2013.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of interesting stuff, right? Like, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a moment when like Glenn Beck, that dude who used to be on Fox or whatever, he was all up in arms about Saul Alinsky.
Yeah.
Right. And he was all up in arms with Catholic priests. So many people don't know that in the 60s and early 70s, we had an attempted and failed social revolution in the United States. But throughout the Americas, there was a much bigger social revolution at foot. And it was led in part by the Catholic Church. And they were preaching a version of Catholicism that says we should create the grounds here in this place and time so that it resembles the heaven we think we're going to ascend to. And that sounded very communist to a lot of people. And so we didn't just fight our own people. We didn't just kill people at universities in the United States. We aided the suppression of these rebellions all over Central and South America. And there, it was not a few college students. It became what we saw in the 80s. The extension of that program was what we saw in the 80s, which was just the wholesale murder of priests, nuns, citizens by murder squads.
Talking about like Romero?
Yeah.
In El Salvador?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a long history there. So this language, Glenn Beck digs this all up, and he wants to be mad about those commie priests again. He wants us to be mad about Saul Alinsky, but he also wants to borrow their tactics to use in this modern so he wants the right to basically take the tactics of the left. And we're now seeing basically, I think that we're reaching very quickly what Marx called the end of history. It's all going to go bananas pretty quick. But at this point in time, you have people on the right using the tactics that the people on the left used during the social revolutions of the 60s and 70s. The problem is their own followers aren't aware of this. So they're not aware of like the contradictions in speech and language. It's just the whole thing is bananas. So I don't know how far we want to go into this, but I just find it amazing. but I don't think any of this applies to the Fremen. The Fremen were very focused on their goals and gave zero fucks about literally about what's happening. They're only going to enter this fight when they have to. And that have to, I guess we have to wait for the next movie to define. But they don't have any. There's no common interest with the people removing, which was probably true early on in like Saudi Arabia, when the British were, exploiting certain. I think the Bedouins didn't really.
Yeah,
they fought when their way of life was threatened, but the resource extraction, I don't think they gave two fucks about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Here's
a
a thought I just had. We're splitting this watch through into 2 episodes to buy us more time. So that's gonna fucking happen.
Do I talk too much?
No.
Is that the problem?
No. I'm just thinking out loud here that we have 0 episodes recorded, and this was a cool segue. So in terms of back to the movie,
let's go back to like 50.
Do we want to go back or okay? Let's go fully back. Okay,
let's go back to about 58.
I'm at 57, 55. So 3.
Perfect.
For the audience, I'm at 58, 15. Or sorry, 58, 48. Sorry. Okay, 58, 48. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we have met Liet Keynes. Keynes is complimenting Paul's knowledge of how to do the still suit right from the jump.
Those Adidas look good on you, Paul.
Yep. she just dropped a little.
You should know your ways.
Oh, fuck. Hold on real quick. We're just gonna keep watching.
I just want to say these still suits look pretty good. They still look very wetsuity to me. So for those of you listening, I love the translation of wetsuit to desert life.
What was that?
I was just saying while you were gone, they still look like wetsuits to me.
Yeah. I have appreciated people commenting that this movie did not in any way mention the processing of stool in the thigh.
Yeah.
They decided not to cover the I think now that I've had time to digest this movie over the course of the weeks, I do think it's great. I do feel like I was talking to Nick Jones, 10th Planet, and I was saying I just know that there's 40 to 50 minutes of footage on the cutting room floor, and it's all the dialogue. It's all the lengthy, it's the more lengthy meeting. It's the stuff that makes Dune in a book form, not really an action story, Yeah.
And I just want to say
that's where I was salty the morning after we woke up.
Gotcha.
And the fact that my wife was salty at me for saying I didn't want to talk about the movie at 10:45 p.m., knowing that we were going to talk about it for 3 hours the next day. So she got salty with me, and then I was bummed out.
We need to do a whole episode on the impact of our fandom on our marital relationships. Probably pretty good.
Yeah, definitely lesson learned. Pulling someone into this and then being like, cool, you've done your part, which is keep me company while I watch it. But then I won't talk to you about it is maybe not the best.
Shush, you. Quiet.
I think it was just that it was late because we've talked about the 3 Foundation episodes we watched. So I don't know.
Luckily no one in my family cares.
It's
just a weird thing that I do.
Yeah, busy Saturday, and
the worm always comes. What are you talking about, Gertie Halleck? It's disgusting.
Right, let's see here.
I get nothing for that joke.
Wait, what was that? The worm always comes. Oh, that's right.
First, that's what he meant to say. I love this Liet Keynes. Keynes.
I think she's great.
Look, I think Max von Sydow was awesome, but I think she does a great job. And to be honest, she seems more of a badass than if we're comparing to the 84 movie. She seems more to the task. So
Yeah.
basically, that's my fuck all y'all for being worried about her gender.
And I think race. To be
Oh
honest.
my God, is that a fuck? Yeah, fuck.
I don't know. I think maybe
Yeah.
more the gender, because
Yeah.
I haven't to be honest, I haven't seen a single person insinuate that Thufir should not have been a person of color. So
I don't know.
it's I don't know.
It's goddamn disappointing that in 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're looking around. If I'm not mistaken, do they, because they nixed the dinner scene, although they filmed it. But
Yeah.
do they, is it even okay? So the thing malfunctions.
The dinner scene would have really helped. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course.
That would have really, really helped. I don't know why they cut that.
Yeah, I don't know.
They could have cut the Thopter thing in half here.
They could have also made this a 10-episode HBO season.
I cannot wait for the sisterhood.
Yeah.
That
So
shit's
what we
gonna be
have
good.
here, book difference, this thing malfunctions as a, well, no, I'm sorry. It malfunctions in the book as well, but it's where's the damn, where are the like spotters or the thing?
Yeah.
No, the thing doesn't come at all in the book, right? Yeah, that's the thing. It's not that it's broken, it's that it doesn't come at all.
Yeah.
Because the Harkonnens distracted it. They some bullshit in the book.
Some shenanigans.
I love this.
Yeah.
Woo! Butterfly.
Here we go. Bingo. This is for the ride.
Yeah. I thought that was dope.
Yeah. Who owns the IP here? Is this Disney owned? Who owns this shit?
Warner Brothers, which
Warner Brothers?
Yeah. I guess they own Disney. I don't know.
Yeah, so this is going to be a ride someday, and we're definitely going on the Thopter ride for sure.
Yeah.
It's the thing I hate about what happens here. Although the Star Wars area of Disneyland, I have to admit I like it a little bit.
I've not been.
It's pretty fun, and the interaction with the characters are all really good. Like Disney's gotten good at being sort of self-aware now.
Yeah.
And I do like it a little bit. I hate the Star Wars franchise. For any of you, I love science fiction, which means, gonna watch Star Wars stuff, but I absolutely hate it. But I do like the Star Wars area at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Also, those are some well-made shoes.
Yeah. There we go. Look at that. Little cinnamon in the spice. Or sorry, a little cinnamon in the sand. I like that. I like that they made it shiny.
Yeah.
It looks like sugar in the raw with a little bit more shininess to it, not like cinnamon.
Uh-huh. A little bit like glitter.
Yeah. So this thing's given up.
Wouldn't it be amazing if
again,
like all the cocaine that washed up on the beach stayed in the sand, and then you could just be like, have a little beach party?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there has to be a lot of it, right? No, you're not going to gauge.
What's up?
Nothing. It doesn't matter. Damn.
Comes that worm.
Spice. Damn the spice. Damn it.
Yeah, the whole. Again, I don't know why the story changed. Why couldn't it have been that the Harkonnen? I mean, maybe I don't know.
It doesn't
neither here nor there.
Because it doesn't matter. All that matters here is that we're establishing that Leto is a different kind of leader.
Right.
My reductio ad absurdum skills are on high display today.
This one's like this is how Michael Phelps tested positive for weed. You hear about the occasional officers. Police officers, fentanyl. Did
you ever see when Bourdain went to that thing where they burned all the cocaine or whatever, and everyone standing around was just getting super fucking high?
No.
All the paramilitary police, they're like burning all these drugs, and then you just see them. They're like,
yeah, that's wild.
It's good times.
Yeah, everything involving the worms in this scene, I think is excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, because people were saying I was harsh on the movie. I was disappointed, but that's just my thing. I process it. If I would have watched it a couple times over the weekend, I would have adjusted to the new reality of it. But I came in raw, and I came in raw knowing that we could just record more episodes talking about it.
Yeah.
Right. So he's over here, you know,
Worm.
he's like,
first.
when you shroom and you find yourself looking at cobwebs in the corner of the bathroom. Right.
It's a very specific metaphor you've developed there.
Yeah. You're like, oh man. Whoa.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And I guess the worm is not troubled by digesting this much sand. I guess it just
No,
you know.
they as we all know,
Right.
worms create sand.
Right. It just seems like
As
a
we all know.
lot of sand to swallow. It is interesting that I don't know if there's a rear view on stuff like this. Is a little stuff like this doesn't translate to film well, in my opinion. Her getting caught saying a thing, you know,
that was in the 84 film too. There was like her getting, or he found side out. That's the only way to indicate that.
Yeah.
You know, how else are you going to do it?
Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah.
Right.
You got your limited mechanisms.
Right.
I do love that people focus on the people focus on the litany against fear, but I do like that the prayer to Shai Hulud, bless the maker and his water, bless the coming and going of him, may his passage cleanse the world, may he keep the world for his people. Their relationship to this planet, deep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I like this scene too. I'm not here to do your job, motherfucker. You are temporary. Shai Hulud is permanent.
Yeah. All right. Do a little acupuncture kind of thing.
Oh, it's my favorite fucking character.
Do you dislike him less in this movie, considering?
Yeah, because they didn't do any of this school bullshit. They're just like, he's a doctor whose wife got stolen and he fucks some shit up because he loves her. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to be mad at me, people who love the canon, this is the worst character in the book. Poorly written, poorly conceived, poorly executed. It's horrible. You could take his entire role out of the book and it would do nothing to change.
Nothing.
Not a thing. Hate this character. Don't know why. Maybe he had a doctor friend. I guess can't like, I'll put you in my book. Maybe some doctor done him wrong. So I don't know, but yeah, stupid.
Flashbacks.
Oh yeah. He's high as fuck. This is his Towley moment. Hi. Is that a good Towley impersonation?
A good impression?
What? Towley
from South Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is good.
Hi. I'm not very good at that. Oh, Johnny. Okay. It's Zendaya, right?
I've heard it pronounced that way. By the way, I have heard it. Someone said it's actually Timothée, not Timothy, which I'm sorry, you're not going to get that pronunciation from me.
Wait, really?
What?
Timothée Chalamet?
Timothée is actually
the fucking best.
That's what I heard. Oh yeah, going for that sweet.
Yeah. My name.
Do you think like
my name is Jeffrey.
Do you think a sign of intimacy in Fremen culture is actually to switch your nose tube?
Yeah.
Like, that could be a thing.
Yeah, or just huck a big loogie right into the mouth of the Fremen you love.
Yeah.
Come here. Mm. Mm.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understood the Chani killing him. That doesn't happen in the books at all, right? He never.
No, this is the
never
thing. His
envisions him.
prescience is not direct. That's what he remember what he says to Helen Gaius Mohem. She's like,
Yeah.
he says not exactly. He's given he this is very like very Abrahamic, right?
Yeah.
His job is he's given he's shown visions, but he has to interpret them correctly.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
cool bedroom. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. This part's dope.
They do a coffee scene, right? Which I really did like. Yeah. Oh, here we are. This okay. Stop for a second. Oh yeah. Yeah. So the Tuvon throat singing, fucking amazing.
Yeah.
This, if I met Villanueva,
Denny Villeneuve. I think that's what it's.
Yeah. I just want to get it out. Villeneuve.
Villeneuve.
Yep. For the scene we are about to witness, I would give him a giant French kiss. It's the best big one.
Yeah.
If he wants it. I mean, I wouldn't.
Sure.
Yeah. Safe.
Sure.
But if he would welcome it, I would give it. This in a very small amount of time, he is able to convey in these scenes, I think, everything that I wanted to know, but is not really explained in the books, like at least not directly, and because it kind of happens over time. And he added stuff to it that just made it fucking amazing. So I just want to warn you, I got a lot to say about this, beginning with this dude basically doing the call, a call to prayer. So this evokes Islam, right? He is in something like a minaret. He is singing to the faithful here. What do we see? We see ships, we see their city, and we see all these troops sort of amassed for ritual. And then we have this sort of interesting like throat singing and hand gestures, which is clearly some kind of religion. Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, I also thought it was genius to begin the movie instead of with Princess Irulan talking, but to begin with a prophecy from their religion. Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Big deviation from the books here.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to know the Sardaukar more. I hope we get to spend some more time with them.
All right. So I want to talk about the themes as we go through this. Is that okay?
Yeah. And also, there's a YouTube, I posted it in the Decode Dune Facebook group, which you should definitely join, of a nonstop mix of this chant for like an hour straight. And then there's also like a techno house or whatever remix that I stumbled on late last night, and I'll find it again and post it, but it's pretty cool. All right, so I'm hitting play again. 1:13:07 for the audience.
There we go.
They got the three stripes of blood, somewhat reminiscent of the flag of Catalonia.
Yeah.
The ancient legend of a vassal was serving as king, and as he was dying, the king dipped his hand in his blood and wiped it on his shield because he didn't have a herald, and then his sons were like, that's our family thing now.
Yep. And then we see the bodies of the Sardaukar who fell in battle being drained of their blood as part of the ritual, which really evokes that one scene where they're sort of...
Do we know it's that they fell in battle, or it's maybe the ones who died in the training?
Well, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
I just paused it, by the way. I'm at 1:13:44.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about this a little bit. So it started with these weird juxtapositions, right? So you've got the guy in the minaret, doing his Tuvan throat singing, right?
Yeah.
So, which is cool. It's clearly a religious ritual. You see all of the Sardaukar that are alive here, receiving the blessing, whatever that might be, of the blood on the forehead. Where's that blood coming from? It's coming from all of the dead Sardaukar. How did they die? That's the whole point of Salusa Secundus. They're constantly training, and the best fighters live. The second best fighters become grist for religious sacrifice. The other thing that this reminds me of is, especially the way it's portrayed, it reminds me of how the Aztecs did ritual sacrifice. So in Aztec culture, I believe, I've been reading a lot about it lately, it was sort of dishonorable to kill people on the battlefield. So they would take captives, and then you would be killed in ritual sacrifice. And those pyramids from which they were, upon which they were executed, were set up in a very similar way, so that the blood drained through various parts, and of course the blood and the entrails and whatever else. So in their belief system, the heart held the spark of life, and so they removed the hearts of the sacrificial victims and burned it to release the energy back to the sun. They were it seemed, of course, it's bad for you if you end up there, but it was all being done as a kind of service to the fallen. And I think we get a sense of that here. Like, it's both the harshness of life on Salusa Secundus, but also there's an acknowledgement of the sacrifice that these people have made so that others can move forward. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's a fucking very interesting setup. They made it just sound like endless pit fighting, which is probably what this is. But this Sardaukar seems more like what a royal privateering force would look like. These, after all, are the emperor's pirates. Right. People misunderstand pirates too, I think, in general. They were part of the Royal Navy.
Oh, corsair. Those are corsairs.
Yeah.
So the technical definition between a corsair and a pirate is a corsair is sponsored by the crown, and a pirate is just independent. Right, but those definitions were I would say very fluid. Like who you were at any given moment was probably very fluid, right? Oh yeah, because you might do a freelance gig right after an official gig. Yeah, or you could run afoul of somebody and find yourself now like an outlaw as opposed to an in-law, right? So, by the way, the word outlaw, do you know what it means? Outside of the law. Yeah, but what do you suppose that means? What does it mean to be outside of the law? I guess in my mind, I think of like Robin Hood, sort of the defiance of the local lord, and then, I don't know, going and living out in the forest outside of the system of providing a vassalage where you're providing a given amount of money to work the land. Yeah, no, that's not what it means. Well, what is it? Yeah, it means that you are no longer protected by law. So bounty hunters could do whatever the fuck they wanted to you. They could kill you. So that wanted, dead or alive. If a sheriff who operates inside the law were to go out and kill the dude, he might face trial. Maybe not, but maybe, right? But if someone was declared an outlaw, anyone could interact with them in any way they chose, and the law would have nothing to say about their behavior. So it's kind of terrifying, right? You have literally no legal recourse once you were declared an outlaw. Most people think of it as like you break the laws, but that's not what it means. It means that once you've broken the laws, there are no laws that will save or protect you. Right. Okay. Good times. Right. Let's go. Here we go. So I'm at 113. Here we go.
Like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. And to hear more readings, become a Patreon supporter at Patreon/Decode Podcast.